So here we are. Welcome back, friends. Let's review where stock markets across the world are positioned at present. Over the last few weeks, you must have seen a good sell-off in the semiconductor stocks. With the listing of SK Hynix of South Korea, there was a great amount of euphoria. In fact, there were some leveraged exchange-traded funds which were created to profit you by 2x of how SK Hynix would trade. We had a SpaceX listing at 134, went up to about 210, and has since gone underwater. There is a great amount of trepidation that's going on at this point of time. Over $1.5 trillion sits in leveraged debt as far as investments in AI stocks are concerned. We have a hedge fund managed by Leopold, which had grown to $40 billion in investable funds that got into trouble. And within 24 hours, Ken Griffin's Citadel had to salvage it, get it out of trouble, and is now the market capitalization is about $10 billion just 24 hours hence. Ken Griffin, as you know, has the knack of getting into distressed assets and then make some good money out of it. And once he got it, you saw the chip stocks rebound. Situation is such that the 10-year bond yield is now at 4.69% and it's very close, getting very close to 5%. That's the highest number in over 2 years. Even Kevin Walsh, the US Federal Reserve chairman, expressed doubts that inflation is not under control, except that he kept interest rates, Federal Reserve kept interest rates just about where they are. And there is increasing suspicion that in the September meeting, there may be a 0.25% hike. That is how the market is perceiving at this point of time. As you know, the discounted cash flows use the 10-year bond yield very much, very important factor. And the higher this goes, the discounted value of the cash flows reduces. And stocks such as these AI companies would use it even more because the earnings comes many years down the road. So if the discount factor is going up, then you find that the discounted value of the cash flows is coming down, and that could affect the stock valuations. If this happens in a consistent manner, which is quite probable, then this may even throw the US economy into a recession and bring down the whole world with it. So this is a pretty serious business that you need to think of. Whether it's going to happen tomorrow, no, I don't think so. There is still some steam left and outlets are opening. You must all take advantage of the party while it lasts, while the music goes on. But sooner rather than later, you may have to face the reality, and the purpose of this video is to make you aware that that inflection point is round the corner, but not tomorrow. It's some time away, but it is something that you need to keep at the back of your mind, else you will lose sight. And that's why I suggest that people who want to invest for the long term need to be very careful. Yet there is still some steam left, and enjoy the rally before the big warning signs begin to come. Now, there is another issue that heavy capex spent by the hyperscalers, the Metas, the Googles, Alphabets, Amazons, right? Now, whether that is yielding to profitable payouts, and you will find that there is a point of time where these payouts keep getting pushed into the future. Not only they keep getting pushed into the future, you find that a discounted value of those future payoffs also begins to diminish, right? When all this happens, then there is going to be questions as to whether the great amount of spend by these hyperscalers is going to actually result in something concrete. In fact, if you go to look at it, the biggest problem that uh, the hyperscalers face at present is that they were cash rich at some point of time. In the very recent past, they were all cash rich. Suddenly now they have turned cash deficient. And in fact, they are raising huge amounts of debt to be able to handle their um, massive investments in data centers, in AI related equipment. Not only that, there's a lot of cross purchasing going on. For example, we have companies like Nvidia investing in OpenAI, and then OpenAI instead using that money to buy some of the equipment of Nvidia. So there is a lot of what is, I would call as cross company investments and purchases taking place. I would call this the cross country transactions taking place. And all this does not augur well for the long term financial well being of either these companies or the American economy in general. Now, once something starts in the United States, you will find that the results will definitely percolate into the world economy and also bring other countries down with it. For example, if this AI related sell off does gain steam in the United States, you will find that stocks in South Korea, in Taiwan, in Japan, which have risen along with the US stock market, and they will start getting a beating. Already, you find that, let's take South Korea, there's a lot of leveraged debt being taken by investors to invest in South Korean stocks. Once this all begins to affect the stock market, you will find that the leverage margin calls will increase on the investors, and you will start seeing companies reduce their debts, and that itself will lead to layoffs, people, and reduced capex spend, and all this is going to lead to a cycle which is going to be uh, leading to a recession not only in the United States but across the world. So that's the chain reaction. It's the uh, vicious cycle that all investors at this point of time need to be careful about. The party is not yet over. That's the good thing. So when I'm giving you all these red flags and warning signals, I've given this, in fact, those who have been watching my videos, this is the warning I'd given you before the semiconductor stock sell-off. Now, as far as the stock markets in general, it's not happening tomorrow, but this is something that is coming, and the stage is getting set. To get to know when exactly this inflection point can happen, do join our Prime Plus Telegram group for the US markets, for the Indian stock markets, because the repercussions will be across the world. There's a lot of investments taking place by many of the Indian tech companies in data centers and even real estate companies. And so they also get impacted, because these plans, once the hyperscalers turn off the screws on capex spend, then this can impact other parts of the world as well. So when that happens, you will see an across the board, across the world impact. And when all this can happen for the Indian markets, you can join our premium elite group, which gives you about a month predictions in advance, good multi-baggers, and the way forward from here. For the US markets, you can WhatsApp us 732-732-2720. And for the Indian markets, you can WhatsApp us on 982-086-1044. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.